It's over here.
You know the next darshan will be there. All right. She returns. I don't know why. Okay. Is it on now? That's on. There it is. I think it's cool enough we can close it. It'll be quieter.
I'll get it. Thank you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Jaya Prabhu Ashtotra the Sriman Divine Grace Shila Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Acharya Stotra the Sriman Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Cell phones, please, also on silent. I know we're at the beginning of chapter 5, but I forgot exactly where.
See, I was absent on Wednesday,
Oh,
so I'm going to say 5 or 6.
yeah. All right. Anyway, a little overlap and everything.
Is that
Let's go with 4.
what page?
Okay, I'll tell you in a minute. Page 233, page 233. I'm sorry, by the way, Prabhu. We have a song sheet, and you didn't know the song. But the next song will be page 233. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 the second day of May 2017 in SanDiego, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Karma Yoga. Yeah, come on this side. Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, text number 4, page 233. SanDiego Pratagbala Pravadanti Napandita Ekamyapyastitak Samyag Upayogindate Palam Sankhya-yoga pratagbala Pravadanti Napandita Ekamapyastitak samyag Upayogindate palam Sankhya-yoga pratagbala Pravadanti Napandita Ekamapyastitak samyag Upayogindate palam. Alright, before we go on, let's review the second line, word by word, so we get it right. Otherwise you'll never learn. Okay, so the way it works is like this, just to review quickly about meter, because we have they all have a beat. This, by the way, this meter, which is called shloka meter or anushtup meter, has 8 syllables per quarter verse, or half the line each way when you have that space. So that it's 8 syllables. This is very strict. It almost never deviate. And there's a certain pattern to them, which I won't get into right now. But the way that the meter works is there's like quarter notes and eighth notes. There's something that lasts for twice as long as the other one. So this is quarter notes, and this is eighth notes. Okay, and that's all you have. And the varieties of those quarter notes and eighth notes makes up the meter. Now, you need to look at the back of the book, study the pronunciation guide, to learn about the short vowels and the long vowels. There's like short A, which is like the default. Most of the vowels are short A's. In the Sanskrit, the original Devanagari, if there's no vowel indicated, it's a short A. That means that that's the most common one. So the short A, short I, E, the short R, Ri, that's also there, as in Krishna. That's the vowel. The only vowel in the word is at the end is the Krishna. And then you have the short U, that's another one. There's only 4. Yeah. And then you have long A, you have O, AU, long I, long U, long R, and those are all the long ones. Now in the second line begins Akam, you see? So that first syllable is A, actually. The E sounds like A, like in Hare. So it's Akam, that's a long. And then the next one is a short A. Now when you have a short A and a vowel is a combination of letters with one vowel sound in it. It may have a consonant before, or it may have a consonant after too, as in this one, come, Akam. Now when you have a short vowel like that, followed by a single consonant, or no consonant occasionally, then you have a light syllable. Then you have your 8th note. So you don't stop after Akam. It goes right up. A come up now. The next you have the short A, but it's followed by a double consonant. The P and the Y. That Y used to be an I, but it became a Y because the next word starts with a vowel. It gets a little complicated. But the result is this is what it sounds like. I'll do it real slow. Ekamapyastita. Ekamapyastita. The Y goes with the next word. Is it? Ekamapyastita samyag. So let's try it real slow. Okay? I'll say you say. Ekamapyastita samyag. Ekamapyastita samyag. Okay, some needs a little more drilling than others. If you can't do it, can you do it real silently so you don't mess everyone else up? All right, Virginia, go ahead, try it. The whole verse.
Sankhya Yoga Pratagpala
Sankhya Yoga Pratagpala
Pravadanti na Pandita
Pravadanti na Pandita
Ekam Yapyastita Samyag
Ekam Yapyastita Samyag
Ubayo Vindati Palam
Ubayo Vindate Palam. Jesse.
Sankhya Yoga Pratagpala
Sankhya Yoga Pratagpala
Pravadanti na Pandita
Pravadanti na Pandita
Ekamapyastita Samyag
Ekam Yapyastita Samyag
Ubayor Vindate Phalam
Ubayor Vindate Palam. Marcia, you're on.
Sankhya Yoga Pratigla
Sankhya Yoga Pratagpala
Pravadanti na Pandita
Pravadanti na Pandita
Ekamapyasita Samayag
Ekamapyastita Samyag
Ubayor Venate Phalam
Ubayor Vindate Palam. Sankhya, analytical study of the material world. Yoga, work in devotional service. Pratag, different. Bala, the less intelligent. Pravadanti, say, not never. Pandita, the learned. Ekam, in one, api, even. Astita, being situated. Samyak, complete. Ubayo, of both. Vindate, enjoys palam, the result. Translation. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Purport. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and the other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two, because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same. But one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance to him and all members of Sri Parampara. So one thing that we find in the Bhagavad Gita, which is kind of a summary of all of the Upanishadic wisdom from the Vedas, and that's why it's called Gita Upanishad. If you look at what we call a half title page, and when you produce a book, there's a half title page which just has the title, and then there's a full title page which has the title, subtitles, maybe the author, and like that. You look at the beginning of this book, I'm not going to have to turn to it now, and you'll find in the Sanskrit letters, which hardly anyone reads, it says Gita Upanishad. Gita Upanishad. So it is said at the beginning, Prabhupada quotes this verse from the Gita Mahatmya, which is a book. Gita Mahatmya means the glory of the Gita. And the whole idea of the Gita Mahatmya is to fire up to study the Gita. How wonderful it is. So what it says there is, Savo Upanishado Gavo, Dogna Gopalanandana. Sudhir Vatsa Gada Partha, something Gita Mitamaha. I'm sorry, I forget one word. But the first line is Sarva Upanishado Gavo. All of the Upanishads, Sarva Upanishad, are like a big cow. And the Gita, and Krishna is the cowherd boy. And the milk, which is the essence of the cow, is the Bhagavad Gita. And Partha is the calf who drinks that milk. But as we know, the calf doesn't drink all the milk. The idea is that there's more milk than is for the calf, and so that's what we get. So everybody is meant to drink that milk of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of all of the Upanishads. It's a nice verse at the beginning, in the introduction you'll see. So, what is this Upanishadic wisdom? The whole thrust of the whole Vedic culture that we're studying, which is the essence of the Vedic culture, has to do with a lot of introspection and searching for what the Western philosophers call the ground of being, the source of everything. That's what Brahman is essentially. When it says the Tato Brahma Jigyasa, the Vedanta Sutra is another book that has essence in it. The sutra means that the little aphorisms that have great wisdom and that need commentary, because they're just like Atato Brahma Jigyasa literally means therefore now look for Brahman. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, therefore now be inquisitive about Brahman. Well, you need more than that to understand what's going on. So that's why we have these commentaries. Sankaracharya wrote one commentary, it's Mayavad. But our great acharyas, like Baladeva Vibhushan, he wrote a commentary, Ramanuja wrote a commentary, Madhvacharya wrote a commentary on this Vedanta Sutra. So, what is that Brahman? And then the next sutra answers, Janmadhyasya yataha. This Brahman that you're meant to look for as a human being, as opposed to anything else, and make this your top priority, that's what this Vedanta Sutra is saying, is the source, Janma, where Janma's birth, we know Janmashtami. Janma yasya yataha, that from which everything has taken birth, etc. And the etc. is understood from, with birth, and which maintains and ultimately destroys. That's what we're meant to look for. Okay, but I still don't know how to do it, like that. So therefore the Vedanta Sutra itself requires a whole commentary. And who knows what that commentary is? The natural commentary? Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam. This is an important point. And the Bhagavad Gita is kind of the introductory work that gives you the essence of the truth, but it requires instruction. When Krishna says at the end of this book, surrender unto me, think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage to me, you'll come to me certainly. Give up all other dharmas, just surrender to me in this way, I'll protect you, no problem. Okay, well, how do I do that? When he says, think of me, well, how do I think of you? We have some hints in the 10th chapter. Whenever you see the ocean, you can think of Krishna, because he's the greatest of everything, But what about Krishna Lila? What about the more personal pastime? That's how you really think of somebody, isn't it? If you're going to remember somebody, you think of what they look like, what they said, their personality, what they did, right? Basically, you've got 4 things that define your personality. You got a name, you have a form, you have qualities, and you have activities. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. So we don't get much of that in Bhagavad Gita, but we get a lot of it in Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavad Purana really is the postgraduate work from the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said it begins where the Bhagavad Gita ends, which is surrender to Krishna. And the Bhagavatams are those who are serious, because Bhagavatam begins, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's where we get this mantra. In other words, I offer my obeisance unto Vasudeva Krishna. Well, if you're going to read a book like that, it means you're already a devotee of Krishna. So really, Bhagavatam is for the devotees. So what I'm getting at all this is that Krishna is now, in this 5th chapter, he's resolving Arjuna's doubts. Because the whole question is, just like we have in the Western religion, is it by faith or is it by works that you can achieve piety and become pure? In other words, do you just have to believe? In this instance, do you just have to meditate and try to find the soul of everything and then you can achieve perfection? Or do you have to do things? And the answer is both. You need to know and understand and be introspective about what the soul is and what the super soul is, and inquire from authorities. And having understood, then you have to use all of your resources in connecting yourself and staying connected to that reality. In other words, okay, I understand. Say I understand and believe Krishna is the supreme. Now what? Do I just think of him? Well, that's good. But that's not my life. I have things to do. I need to work and go, and I have all these senses in the mind. And we're not great yogis. We're not going to be able to just go off to a hidden place in the Himalayas and meditate on Krishna. That's not practical, nor is it necessary, nor does it actually give you the highest goal. Because the whole point in Bhakti Yoga is that we're living in kind of a reflected world, almost like a reverse world of the reality. This is all reflected. And although it seems real as anything, we learn that it's just a reflection. It's not as real as the actual world. Right at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, when Krishna starts his instructions, practically the first, after a few verses, he has this na sato vidite bhavo, na bhavo vidite sata. Ubiyor vidrishtontas tvaneo sarvadarshavi. That those who have seen the truth, the tattvadarshis, they have concluded this, that of the asat, there is no real existence. And of the sat, the eternal, there's no non-existence. Now what does that mean for us? As Prabhupada gives a nice translation in the purport. Of the spirit, because the whole second chapter is all about distinguishing spirit from matter. Distinguishing our real self from our not self. The body is our not really our self. It's a surrogate self. It's something we accept in illusion as a self, and it acts like a self. But then, lo and behold, at one point is gone. Does that mean we cease to exist? Krishna says, no. Never was a time that you do not exist, and never will there be a time when you cease to exist. That's like the second verse. You're back from India.
Yeah.
So you're decompressing or something?
Huh?
You're decompressing a little bit?
No.
Well, why don't you bring this chair on this side then?
Oh.
No offense. He comes to request. So the idea is that first we have to learn how to distinguish reality from illusion. You know, the illusion is that we are the body, that the body is the self. But right away, Krishna is saying, no. There's a spirit. There's consciousness. That's who you really are. Now that doesn't really tell us too much about what I can do as conscious, but at least we have to have that foundation of knowledge. Now, the Sankhya Yoga is a systematic way of separating the self from the not-self. There's a certain mantra, you learn these little phrases, neti neti, you probably heard this, neti neti already. So what is not iti na iti? This is kind of a meditation. So, am I the hand? No, I'm not that. Am I the leg? No, I'm not that. Am I the head? No, I'm not that. So in other words, not that, until you get to the point that you really are. That's the whole idea. And what you are is the knower of all these things. That's something. As Krishna says in the 13th chapter, Kshetra Gya. Gya means the knower of the field. This is our field of activity. So many things are going on. Even when we act outside, we're actually acting in relation to the brain, right? And perceptive. Everything is really happening in terms of this body. The field of activity is really this body. And so that's what Sankhya Yoga does. Sankhya Yoga analyzes and finds, hopefully, at the end of it, the super soul. They have this whole thing of, okay, what do we got? We have 8 elements, right? The Greeks got into it. Earth, water, fire, air, space. Those are the gross ones. The grossest is earth. A little finer is water. And then fire, that includes electricity and all these things. Water, fire, air, and then space is even more subtle than air. But even more so is the mind. That's also one of the elements, whoever could imagine. We generally identify with the mind, either the gross body or the mind, but not the mind either. And then the intelligence is even finer than the mind. That's another feature. And even finer than that is the ego. So we have these 8 elements. Sankhya means to count. That's what the word means, Sankhya. So we're counting here. We got 8, right? Now, we have also the senses by which we perceive the world. Right? You get it all in the head. We got the eyes, got the ears, got the nose, taste, touch. Right? Those are that we call the senses. In the Sanskrit analysis, Jnanendriya, the knowledge, jnana senses, knowledge acquiring senses. Then you have the karmendriya, the senses that you work with. Those are also considered senses. So now we have those 8 elements, and we have the 5 senses, right? Knowledge acquiring senses. Then we have the 5 active senses, the most important of which is the voice. Voice is very critical. that voice, but you also have the hands. You know, what can we do about the hands? You gotta have hands. And then the feet. So that's 2 and 2 and 1. No. The hands and the feet count as 1 each, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then you have the excreting and reproductive organs, that's 5, so that's 5 and 5, and that's 10. 10 plus 8, we're up to 18. This is Sankhya, we're counting now. This is our field. And none of this is us, right? None of this is the soul. Then you have the object of the senses, those are also counted. For each sense, vision, you have the form, right? For the sound, obviously, for all these things. The tactical senses, the touch. So that's another 5. 5, 5, and 5, and 8, how much? 23. So that's practically it. Then sometimes they say contaminated consciousness is another one that's 20. So we come to 24. Then you have the soul and the super soul. So this is Sankhya Yoga. This is Sankhya, this meditating on these and separating your consciousness from it and kind of understanding the difference between you and all of this field that we just enumerated. But, so that's Sankhya. Then the other thing is yoga. Yoga here means work in devotional service. Activity by which, on the basis of that knowledge, you act without identifying with this field. That's what, and of course that's Bhakti Yoga. That's the idea. So here Krishna is saying, they work together. Without the knowledge, you can't work successfully. That's true of anything. And when you think about it, whatever work you're going to do, you have to have knowledge behind it. If you're going to fix a car, if you're going to make something, if you're going to cook, you have to know what you're doing. The knowledge comes first, then you act on the basis of the knowledge, and it's successful. So that's what this is all about. The ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from analytical study. That's the Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one achieves the path of both. So that's what Prabhupada says. One is to find the tree and then to water the root of the tree. So they work together. Now in Krishna consciousness we have this Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, which is similar to this. Sambandha Gyan is understanding exactly what I just went through. Basically, what is the source of everything? Who is God? That's the key critical factor. And what are we? And what is this world? And what are the relationships between them? That's the Sambandha Gyan. And that's where you get into what's the 3 modes of nature, how does this world come about, oh, there's Mahavishnu and all of that. That's all Sambandha Gyan. And then when you understand that, at least the preliminary understanding, then you're ready for Abhideya, which is the practice. Chanting Hare Krishna, getting up early in the morning, the do's and the don'ts and all of those different things. That's Abhideya, the practice. And then the goal of all of it, Prayojana, is pure love of God, going back to Godhead, being reinstated. In your eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In other words, the final goal, that there can never be a greater goal. Maximizing your bliss to the nth degree and minimizing your unhappiness to 0. That's our goal. Can't be done on this plane. It has to be spiritual. It has to be out of this body, ultimately. Well, actually, that's not so correct. Even within the body, if you're advanced, you can experience the taste of it. But ultimately, we leave it. Yes?
If there's the mind and then there's the intelligence and then the ego, why does the ego seem to be more prominent than the intelligence?
Well, the ego is your sense of self, and you direct the lower things by the higher things. In other words, on the basis of who you think you are. Like I remember when I was a kid. I didn't grow up in a regular family. Well, there's some unusual things about it, but I was in high school. I was a real go-getter as a student. I was always in competition. There was this one German girl who was always a little smarter than me, and I couldn't stand that, so I was always studying. Anyway, so I was studying. So my ego, my sense of who I am. Hey, I'm the smartest kid in the class. So now I direct my intelligence to say, study like anything, right? And the mind, so the ego really is directs everything below it.
Is the ego is it directing motives?
Motives?
Yes.
Well, I think you can analyze it that way. In other words, as you conceive of yourself, then you'll have certain plans, certain aspirations, and certain things you want to avoid. I mean, the thing is, thinking of yourself, the basic point is thinking of yourself as a physical body. It's instinctual, not just human beings, everyone, to try to avoid pain and suffering, right? Now, if you think of yourself as a devotee of Krishna, wanting to transcend the limitations of the body, the likes and dislikes, then you'll maybe embrace austerity. Only human beings can decide to do that, right? Animals instinctively, minimize the suffering. It's instinct, where's the food, where's safety. But human beings say, no, they'll take on some dangerous thing for a higher cause. So if I identify myself, say, as a soldier, and America goes to war, I mean, this is of course illusion right now, but still, then I'll maybe undertake something that will risk my life, understanding my name afterward, whatever. So even to that point of risking the life of the body, you'll want to do it because the sense of self is directing the intelligence to do it this way. This is how they instill, bravery into these soldiers. Do it for country, in turn, whatever. So that means that, of course, now, if you think, just be honest, when I was growing up, the last thing in the world I would have done would be enlist in the army. In America? I mean, with the Vietnam War going on, it was crazy. Now, if it was 20 years earlier in the World War II, I might have done that. That was the good war, right? I mean, definitely fighting the bad guys in that, right? So for real. So depending on who your mentality and your identification, you'll do things almost directly opposite. So it all depends on who you think. Like as devotees, you think, well, I'm a devotee. So I want to go where the devotees are. And there's a whole bunch of things you would do that most people wouldn't dream of doing. Right? So really, it's the sense of self that determines everything that goes below. All right, should we go on? All right, let's go on to another verse. Text 5. Yat sankhyaye prapyate sthanam
Yat sankhyaye prapyate sthanam
tadyoga rapigamyate
tadyoga rapigamyate
ekam sankyam cha yogam cha
ekam sankhyaam cha yogam cha
yak pashyati sapashyati.
yat shashati sapashati.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes. By Sankhya philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that the living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world, but of the Supreme Spirit whole. Consequently, the Spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relation with the Supreme. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this sees things as they are. And factually speaking, as we go on and we read the Bhagavatam, we'll see that real detachment, he's talking about what is called vairagya here. Vairagya is an essential aspect of any process of self-realization, because it's raga, which we call attachment to things of this material world that's going on birth after birth, that keeps us bound here. Sometimes these are compared to knots, that tie the heart or the consciousness to this world. I mean, we all have experienced this. Before as a devotee, you get attached to this, you get attached to that. Just like I always like to use the drug analogy, because it's so obvious. You know, no one is, well, maybe, you know, no one is born a smoker. You know, nowadays, finally, people are realizing, no, you know, smoking is crazy. Right? I mean, it's actually going down. The average age of the smokers are going up, which is a good sign. Means they don't. But I mean, there's a million other things to be addicted to. But in America, when I was coming up in the 50s, 60s, you know, and I got to be 15, that was the thing to do. Everybody smoked. Everyone was smoking on this big screen, you know, watching the movies, and the ads were there. And, you know, the doctors assured us that it has not been proven that there's any deleterious effect. So they were going to start smoking.
Smoking in the movies.
Huh?
You're sitting there in the movies.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody on the big screen, but you know, what was his name? Bogart. What was his first name? Humphrey Bogart. Anyway, so it just comes to me. That's what to do. So you start smoking, you start coughing. You know, I got to get used to it. It's not pleasant at my You know, then you've established a strong knot. Your senses, you know, are attached to that. Even if at a certain point your intelligence says, "What am I doing here? You know, huffing and puffing, climbing the stairs when I used to run up the stairs without a problem. This is not good." But you know, the body is saying, "No, you have to get it." So that's an extreme example, but it's true for everything that we become attached to. This is what's so radical when you read Krishna consciousness. All the things that you're attached to materially are binding you here, and it causes you suffering because it brings you back again to another body, and the body means old age, disease, and death. This is a reality. You know, we were just at a memorial, not memorial yet, but a kirtan for Kandarika Mataji, who's about to leave the body. It's just like so sobering, you know. Here's this vibrant lady, you know, she was such a wonderful devotee, you know, did so much for this temple. Many of you don't remember, if you don't remember.
Yeah.
You know, she just went to India this year, in January. She was there with her son. I saw pictures on Facebook, you know, wonderful. But she had melanoma, it was going on all over her body. So that's what it means to have a body. It means you forget about it. You know, in your youth, you run around enjoying like crazy. And death, I'm not gonna think about death. It's my time, you know. But then, in a matter of a few, you know, snaps of the finger, really, the old age is coming. You know, it's just inevitable. And then all of the things that you did, well, all the memories are there. The thing is, the ideas, you know, the desires are still with you in ordinary life for enjoying. But you can't do it in this body. Okay, so you get another one. I'm going for millions of times, birth and death, old age, disease. So the whole, you know, wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness, it introduces to it a whole other platform of existence. This is not all there is. The assumption of people is, well, this is all there is, so I better, you know, what is that crazy little acronym? YOLO. YOLO. We're not YOLO. What was my
YOLO
no, there was some other thing.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. In other words, that's
With a slang.
yeah. That's the first fallacy. They're pushing it. In other words, the thing is, don't put it off. You know, you'll be sorry when you get older. You missed out on the raves and the jugs and the whole thing. You'll be sorry you missed out on it. You know, this is the Maya speaking, right? The agents of Maya. And devotees, you know, when you get to a certain age, you've been in the movement for like 10, 20, 30 years. And, whoa, I'm really glad I missed out on all that craziness. You know, all my contemporaries are like, you know, what did I miss out on? Just you can recall all those wonderful kirtans, you know, and all those experiences. Where's the side effects, the bad effects of a kirtan? There isn't any. It's all wholesome. It's really true enjoyment without any downside. It's all upside because it's preparing you to get out of this world entirely. You know, just to learn that there's a okay, you know, we may not believe it because it's beyond our ability to understand now. But this is where we rely on, well, who's speaking here? This is, you know, Srila Prabhupada, a highly revered Acharya, and he has behind him all of these realized souls, and here's, you know, Krishna writing this book. Would they just make it all up? What's the point? What's the point? You know, Prabhupada came to America with a few rupees,
which is incredible. He didn't have a few dollars, you know. Well, obviously he wasn't coming to make money. He wasn't coming for fame. Why was he coming? Was it just a dream? No, he was experiencing these things, and he saw that it's essential. You know, even if just a few people can take it, it's to their eternal credit. You know, to their eternal benefit. So he was doing it really out of just openness of his heart, caring, and he kept doing that for 12 years. So why would he do that if it was all just it can't be a scam, you know? We're basically being conned totally by Maya. Maya is a huge con. Yes. It's like a change-up. Come, enjoy. You know, like Prabhupada, I tell you this. Some of you have heard this. Yeah, you have heard this. So this goes way back. I listen to these lectures all the time. So we're back in the early LA. I think the temple, they got the new temple, but it's the early days, 70, 71, you know. Temple room is filled with devotees. Vishnu Jan is there. Legendary. And so Prabhupada's giving this lecture, I forget what it's on. And then gradually in the background you hear this little tinkle, 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 tinkle. And it gets a little louder and louder. So finally Prabhupada, he says, what is that? And I think Vishnu Jan, he says, oh Prabhupada, that's the ice cream man. They come and, and then Prabhupada says, oh, you're eating ice cream? You know? So no, they come for the little children on the street, you know. I said, oh, Prabhupada said, oh, now I understand. You know? So then he imitates, this is Maya. So this is Maya, the tinkling of the bell. Come on, enjoy me. Come on. And we come and try. and then he starts saying how each, for animals, they each have like one sense that's really prominent, and they can be conquered by that sense. And for the fish, it's the tongue. You know, you go fishing, I used to go fishing, and you have a lure, you put a whole bunch of worms on there, you know. So they don't think, you know, well, this is really attractive. Maybe there's something behind it. They don't have the brain to think like that. So they'll have, you know, some shiny lure that will attract their eyes, and they'll think something to eat, or a big bunch of worms. And so they bite into it, and there's it. And Prabhupada gives the, you know, he's imitating the fish. So, you know, and for the elephant, you know, how do they capture an elephant? Well, they get a she-elephant, you know. And then the she-elephant is in the forest, and they make a big trench, and they cover it with some grass or something. And the male elephant comes to get the she-elephant, boom, down he goes. And you know, the true now the smell, I forget the dogs, the other thing. But for human beings, all of the senses are prominent. We can be captured by all of them. You know? Now the idea is that, yes, we want to enjoy. And we have said there is some enjoyment. You know, good things to eat, the opposite sex, it's all there. But it's temporary. And what's left after the enjoyment is the desire to do it again. So in other words, you planted a desire in your heart, or tied a knot, you know, which then wants fulfillment. But you can't, because the time is limited, the senses are limited, and you end up having all these desires when you leave your body. And when you leave the gross body, the subtle body, the mind is still there. That's the thing. That's in the 15th chapter. Mind, intelligence, and ego, the subtle body, that stays. It carries you. And as you formed it by your activities and your thoughts and what you've heard, what you've eaten, all the people, all of these things go into making your subtle body. That's going to be the template for your next body. And if you want, you know, and then according to how you've gone about it, if you perform sinful and vicious activities, you may lose the human form entirely. If you're just into eating every kind of thing, what do you need a human body for? Human body is meant for self-realization. Get the body of good. No, we've been through all that. You know. But you know, then there's no karma. Then you just go up, back again to the human form. So we've been doing this for countless eons. Now we have the chance to break out. You know, don't go back down, even to the human form. Don't you break out of it. That's the whole program. So this is teaching us. First you have to understand. Then you have to act on that understanding. And the more we act on the understanding given to us by Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, the more we untie or cut those knots. It's very simple. In the 15th chapter, it's very dramatic. He compares this whole world to an upside-down banyan tree. You know, you ever seen one of those big banyan trees that grow so complicated? When I was a kid, we had one where in the camp I was at, And we used to call it the gorilla tree. And we would play on that tree. We actually had a swing and everything. So there's a tree like that in Bundi Ravana forest in Vrindavan and Krishna Lila. There's a Bandira tree. It's a huge banyan tree, and there was a place of pastimes where they would enjoy. So anyway, so this whole world is like an upside down banyan tree with the roots up and the branches down. And these branches are like, I think the fruits on the tree are like sense gratification, and the leaves are the Vedas, and the branches are, different things. So we're trying to go from branch to branch, but we stay entangled in the tree. To go to the real tree, the real world, is like you're on the bank of a reservoir, and there's a tree growing on the other side. It's very calm, and you can see the reflection underneath. So we're in the reflection. We're like through the looking glass. Alice in Wonderland. That's why things are so crazy. So, how to get out of it? So he says, Asanga Shastrena Dudhena Chitva. This is the thing. Asanga Shastrena, the weapon, the sword, the axe of detachment. Dudhena, powerfully, we have to cut that axe, cut that tree, the root. But that's not all, because just detachment is not going to help you. You have to go and search out the Lord and then become attached to the service of the Lord. That will keep you firmly fixed in transcendence, and you won't have to come back again. That's the whole program. So Prabhupada is describing that. Search out the root of the tree and water it. Search out the Lord and serve. With these very senses that are keeping us bound here, the same senses transfer the service of Krishna, and that is what liberates us. Okay. Should we segue into the Krishna book?
Yeah.
A little time for a
Yeah.
poem. You missed some of the poems. I had some poems. I can do some. Okay, so we'll begin tomorrow. Text 6, right? Text 6. Text 230. All right.
I have a question about some of your poems.
Oh.
You seem to use a staccato way of speaking.
You mean in the English or the Sanskrit?
No, the Sanskrit.
Oh, the Sanskrit. That's a whole lesson in itself. I mentioned some of the things about the meter.
Uh-huh.
It's very refined. In the Vedic culture, everything is very refined. Whether it's, drama, music, ragas and everything. So part of this is called chanda. Chanda is the aspect of Sanskrit dealing with the beats. I have a document that has like hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the writings of the Goswamis, they have some very complicated, wonderful ones. In the Bhagavatam, there may be 25, 30 different meters. They're also very beautiful. So this is what you can do, building up, just with those two values, the quarter note and the eighth note, you can make a whole thing. And maybe I'll give one special class on that sometime, because I know you're into it, into the Sanskrit. Maybe we can improve a little bit. All right, let's read a little bit from, I finally came up with a good, code to open the thing. Prabhupada's birthday. September 1st, 1896. Many didn't know that. They usually know the lunar. So that's 9/1. Oh, I'm sorry. We got
That's my birthday too,
no kidding. September 1st.
but not 18.
Okay. All right. All right. So we're reading from Krishna book. Let's see. We're in the chapter. I'll just read chapter 47, which is a very special chapter. Krishna sends Uddhava to Vrindavan to console the gopis and all the residents. And then Radharani is there. She's in a high mood of separation from Krishna. Krishna has gone away, And so there's a bee. And she takes that bee to be a messenger from Krishna. So the song to the bee, it's famous. All right. One of the gopis, namely Radharani, was so much absorbed in thoughts of Krishna by dint of a personal touch with him that she actually began to talk with a bumblebee which was flying there and trying to touch her lotus feet. While the other gopis were talking with Krishna's messenger Uddhava, Srimati Radharani took that bumblebee to be a messenger from Krishna and began to talk with it as follows. Bumblebee, you are accustomed to drinking honey from flower to flower, and therefore you have preferred to be a messenger of Krishna, who is of the same nature as you. I can see on your mustaches the red powder of kumkum, which was smeared on the flower garland of Krishna, while it was pressed against the chest of some other girl who was my competitor. You feel very proud because of having touched that garland, and your mustaches have become reddish. You have come here carrying a message for me, anxious to touch my feet. But my dear Bumblebee, let me warn you, don't touch me. I don't want any messages from your unreliable master. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. So this is all very high. You know, this is like, but the Vishnu Chakravarti, I think Prabhupada mentioned this, he's analyzed, there's 10 verses, and each one is a different kind of mad talking in Mahabharata. So this first one is, I forget what it's called, there's one in Jalpa, Pratijolpa, Sujalpa, all these different Jalpas means talk. It may be that Radharani purposely addressed the bumblebee sarcastically in order to indirectly criticize the messenger Uddhava. Like the other gopis, Radharani saw that Uddhava's bodily features resembled Krishna's, but she also saw Uddhava as being equal to Krishna. Indirectly, therefore, she indicated that Uddhava was as unreliable as Krishna himself. Srimati Radharani wanted to give specific reasons why she was dissatisfied with Krishna and his messenger. She continued to address the bumblebee. Your master Krishna is exactly of your quality. You sit down on a flower, and after tasting a little honey, you immediately fly away and sit on another flower and taste. Similarly, only once did your master Krishna give me the chance to taste the touch of his lips, and then he left me altogether. I know also that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who is always in the midst of the lotus flower, is constantly engaged in Krishna's service. But I do not know how she has become so captivated by Krishna and why she is so much attached to Krishna, although she knows his actual character. Maybe she is so much captivated by Krishna's sweet words that she cannot understand his real character. As far as we're concerned, we are more intelligent than the goddess of fortune. We are not going to be cheated anymore by Krishna or his messengers. According to expert opinion, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is a subordinate expansion of Srimati Radharani. As Krishna has numerous expansions of Vishnu Murtis, so his pleasure potency, Radharani, also has innumerable expansions of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji, is always eager to be elevated to the position of the gopis. Radharani continued, You foolish bumblebee, you're trying to satisfy me and get a reward by singing the glories of Krishna, but it's a useless attempt. We gopis are bereft of all our possessions. We're far away from our homes and families. We know very well about Krishna. We know even more than you. So whatever you make up about him will be old stories to us. Krishna is now in the city and is better known as the friend of Arjuna. He now has many new girlfriends who are no doubt very happy in his association. Because the lusty, burning sensation of their breasts has been satisfied by Krishna, they're now happy. If you go there and glorify Krishna, they may be pleased to reward you. You're just trying to pacify me by your behavior as a flatterer, and therefore you have put your head under my feet. But I know the trick you're trying to play. I know that you are a messenger coming from an even greater trickster, Krishna. Therefore, please leave me. All right, we'll continue there again. I'm going to read a few poems. It's pretty beautiful stuff. Okay. So, let's see. What did I pick out here? Sorry. Okay. So last time I was reading these, in the Govinda Lilamrita, there are these two parrots, the male and female parrot. And the female parrot, she sings the glories of Radharani, and she prays to get the service of her lotus feet. The male parrot, he's singing the glories of Krishna, and praying to get the service of his lotus feet. So the meter, here's the meter. This is a very lilting meter in a simple. The last line is the refrain. He repeats every verse. So this is an easy meter. I made it. The English poetry is similar. His dark complexion mocks mascara, sapphires, and the blackish cloud. His garments shine like reddish rising sun with lightning bolts endowed. With sandal paste enhanced with camphor, are his handsome limbs replete. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. May none the sun. Okay, you're not getting the full measure. Let me put the music on. Ready? All right, so just do the English. Upon his cheeks his shark-shaped earrings danced with quintessential grace. The pride of countless moons and lotus blooms is shattered by his face. The gopis bind his heart with hidden love that's perfect and complete. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. His loving pastimes, youthful form, and gorgeous dress are always new. His coward friends delight him with their playful tricks and joking too. His splendid pleasure grows, making his nandana accept defeat. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. Their hearts aglow with golden praying. His friends and kin expand his joy. The universal rulers bow their heads before that cowherd boy. He daily honors learned, truthful Brahmins free of all conceit. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. May none the sun bestow on me the service of his lotus feet. Alright, so we'll complete it tomorrow. Coming track. All glories to the Prabhupada. You back?
Yeah. Friday.
You came back Friday?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Pilgrimage.
I know. Did you go to Vrindavan?
No. Durga.
Oh, Durga Durga?
Yeah. Pilgrimage.
Why did you go on Durga?
Well, believe that one last year, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Again. So my mother also and also a sister also. My mother sister
Okay.
disabled. This we did.
So you got to help.
Yeah, I have. So just
Well, not created Durga to obtain love for Krishna.
yes. And also this Ram.
Ram's Spirit State.
No. Anba.
I'm sorry.
Anba. Gujarat. Yeah. So, pilgrimage. This.
Barusha didn't go. I spoke. She
No,
she stayed.
next 25 this
Surka.
May.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And nice to have you back.
Yeah. But my mother is 18.
I'm sorry.
18 May.
She's coming here.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you bring it to town.
Yes. I like. No? Yeah. And let me.
Here she goes, Jack. Jagannath Baladev. Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charine Nirvishesha Shunakari Satari Satarine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Shri Rama Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Shabbat Paramahansa. Dravida Prabhu, Ashtam Dravida Shri Sriman, the Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON DPT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Jai Vishnu Paramahansa.
Jagannath Puri Ram Ki Jai. Gauranga Mata Ki Jai, Yamuna Mata Ki Jai, Kosi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Balada Lada Dayane. Balada Lada Dayane. Hiranyakashipo Rakshaha. Hiranyakashipo Rakshaha. Ashilatankana Kalaye. Hito Nishinga Bharato Nishingo. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishinga. Mahi Nishingo Rinaye Nishingo. Nishingamadi Sharanam Prapade. Vakara Kamala Vare Nakam Amrita Shringa Karita Hiranyakashipu Tarum Bringa Keshavamrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Kamala Kamalavare Nakama Gutta Shingha Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavamrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Kamalavare Nakashringa Karita Hiranyakashipu Tarudringa Keshavamrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Keshavandrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Keshavandrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Shingadev Ki Jai, Shri Prahlad Ki Jai, Go Premanande, Hari Krishna. Okay. Chadava Vijaya, Tadendre Taikam, Jive Pere Visaya Sagare, Karma Gini Vaiti, Lobhamo Sundavati, Sakajana Kadena Sansare, Krishna Baladayama, Kadibari Jiva Joy, Tapasana Nadivala,
for salad?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What would you like? Come. Prabhu. Fruit, we have fruits. We usually don't have fruit. But because you're here, we have much fruit. Even mango. How about a little bit of sweet here? This is it good? You can. This is something. It's good for you. You have spoons and everything. Oh, the milk is there? Okay. You just let me know when.
I'm going home.
Okay.
Just a little taste?
Yes.
How about a puri? We'll have puri is good? And one sweet. Is that okay? We have milk. A little bit of milk?
That's good.
Okay. How about a spoon?
Oh, no.
You don't need it.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. What's your name?
My name is Albert.
Albert.
Yes.
Have you been to Hare Krishna?
I only went to Tuesday.
The Thursday night, next door, the lounge. Okay. Nice to meet you, Albert. This is your first time to a class.
Yes.
We have our classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you're always invited over to us. No.
Fortunate to have his class too.
You're always welcome. You want any more of this? A little bit?
I just want to
A little bit. Okay.
He does it to me all the time. I like it though. I know.
How many times have you been to the Thursday?
I
2 times. Are you a student?
cool.
Oh, you're a master's. In what?
It's a snail. That's your answer. That's your snail. I saw this.
But it's
Oh.
good. You need to question it like, would you like a little more? Okay.
Okay.
Now, do you have any of our literature?
Yeah, I mean, he already was painted, but I added the goat dogs. I added the.
You have the Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Have a seat there. I'll give you a little more literature.
Yeah. On his.
Any place, near the wall.
I added
Yeah.
like all those.
Or you can sit on a chair if you like
Can I
it.
get the pens
Uh-huh.
that are painted? No,
Sir?
I actually.
What else? Back home? And it's playing for everybody.
Sweet
Ones
home.
that like, the
Nice.
ones like
I'll pick
this,
pepper.
and then the,
Yeah.
it's very long.
Little bit, something.
And then it's all on Instagram.
Wow.
And
If
yeah,
you're not
that's
looking
the
at
one.
it, you get more here. You went to the
I thought-
home country.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're-
A sweet? Or no? Half a
Have you
sweet?
seen the pens? It's like a magic one.
How's that?
And it's a
Like fine point.
yeah.
Legend.
You can get them at,
Yeah, cool.
Michael had,
No, I didn't see them there.
like an art store.
That's good.
Aaron Brothers.
Aaron Brothers.
Are we good?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
friends of theirs.
So, I would, I'm,
Yeah, I never mentioned that. April even.
Walking.
I miss April. The girl that was leaving, I don't remember where she is.
yeah, I think 11 kilometers.
No, wait, 11 kilometers. Well, I hope you get the blessing.